Okay, we're beginning the shiur, the second part of the second Torah in Likutei Moharan. So we started the first part and we developed some understandings of the basics of where this Torah is leading us. So we'll do a quick review, and then we will move on. We're going to be learning some pretty serious Kabbalistic ideas that I have prepared some charts for to help us out, because it's really necessary. And then we'll move on and keep going in the Torah. So a couple ideas, first of all, to start with. 2 points. Okay, so to review, the Torah started off in the first paragraph, connecting a few concepts together. First of all, connecting Mashiach and Tefillah. The Torah told us that the Klei Zayin of Mashiach is Tefillah. The war weapon of Mashiach is prayer, is Tefillah. And then we brought another pasuk to show how Tefillah is connected to the chaitem, to the nostrils, to the nose. And then you put them all together. Tefillah, the nose, and Mashiach are all related. Okay? That was the first little bit. And then we said that, so this is going to be the weapon of war of Mashiach, is Tefillah. And consequently, of all of us also. Our weapon of Bnei Yisrael is Tefillah. Right? So then we said, but in order to be able to receive this weapon and to wield this sword, you can only happen through the Bechin of Yosef. And Yosef, we said, what's Yosef's main quality that he's known for? The reason he's the only one that is called Hatzadik of all the Avos, Yosef Hatzadik. The Zohar says, Man Tzadik, Man Denatar Bris. Who is a Tzadik? Someone who is Shemer Bris. And we spoke about this in depth last time, about what that means to have Shmiras Bris for everyone in our society. So that's Yosef. And we saw that this idea was connected to a few psukim that connected the idea of this sword connecting to Mashiach. We had this pasuk Chagar Charbach al Yarech, that you gird your sword onto your loins, and we understood in a deeper sense that loins refers to the Makom Bris and Shmiras Bris. And then we connected also the fact, so, okay, we're back post phone call interruption. The pasuk in Tehillim says, Chagar Charbach al Yarech, gird your sword onto your loins, onto your Makom Bris. That Tehillim, I didn't quite see how it fit together over there, but I went into the Tehillim. The Radak explains over there that whole kapitel in Tehillim is all speaking about Mashiach. So speaking about Mashiach, it speaks about the fact that the sword is going to be wielded on his thigh. And we understand that thigh, Yarech, is Torah code word for bris. As we saw in the parshas that we just had, Sim na yadacha tachas yarechi, right? Put your hand on the makom bris to make a shua. Okay, we all know what that means. And then we saw in a later Tehillim that mipri bitnecha ashes lechisei, that it's from your offspring is where Mashiach's going to come, David HaMelech. So in other words, in order for your offspring to come, for Mashiach to come from you, David HaMelech, it has to be that you have this Shmiras Bris. So we connected all this back to Mashiach and all these concepts together. So then we said that the flow of Yosef goes like this. Yosef had Shmiras Bris, and therefore he merited to have the Bechorah, for the right of the firstborn, which is Pishnayim, which is the double portion. So my wife asked a lot of really good questions after this year last week. One of them we're not really going to answer, but one of them was really the question sort of brings everything together. In other words, so what about Yehuda, right? Yehuda got something that was taken away from Ruvain also, right? Why did Yosef get the right of the firstborn, get the Bechorah? Because it was taken away from Ruvain. So as we said in the Torah, that because Ruvain was messing with his father's bed and in a sense making a pagam in that realm of bris, right? So the firstborn was taking it away from him. The fact that he was not guarding bris, and the opposite, he was being pagam bris, he was defiling his father's mattress in a certain sense, right? So the firstborn was taken away from him. Okay? But we know, so what about Yehuda? Yehuda is the one who becomes Melech Yisrael, right? All the Malchus comes from Yehuda. So how does this all work? So we found out, we looked in, we saw that the way it's brought down is that there's three aspects Bechorah that were taken away from Reuven. One is Malchus, one is Kahuna, and one is Pishnayim, the double inheritance, right? So the Malchus went to Yehuda, the Kahuna went to Levi, of course, right? And the Pishnayim, the double inheritance, went to Yosef, right? So she had some other questions surrounding Yehuda and we won't even get into them now. But we're focusing now on this aspect alone of Yosef receiving the double portion. Okay, so the Pishnayim, we know, the Torah explained, is really speaking about like two forms of the mouth, two forms of speech, two types of tefillah. And this is how we understood that the Pishnayim was two types of dibur in our tefillah, which is shivchai shel makom, praising Hashem, and then also she'elas tzrachav, also asking for your needs. He brings down Shamru Razal, la'olam yisader adam shivchai shel makom techila, var achar kach yivakesh tzrachav. Chazal say first you have to praise Hashem and then you ask for your needs. That was the two aspects of tefillah that you have to wield in order to daven properly. Yeah, everybody with me up to now? Okay, so these are the two aspects of tefillah that came through Yosef, and then we said after that tefillah could only be wielded. The sword could only be wielded if you have a weapon and you're fighting a war. You're useless if you don't know how to aim it, right? So you have to know how to aim this weapon of tefillah, and we explained that this weapon of tefillah can only be aimed for the concept of mishpat. Mishpat meaning judgment, meaning justice. Things have to be balanced, right? So we had this understanding that it can't go to the right and it can't go to the left. And going to the left means the left is the weak side. It means that I feel like I'm nothing. I'm humble in the negative way to the point where I don't believe that my tefillahs can break through. I don't feel like anything that I do is working. Hashem's not listening to me. I'm nothing. Why should I keep davening? Right? That's not the way a Yid needs to be. And Yid needs to have confidence knowing that the Ribono Shel Olam is listening to me. And every single tefillah that I make is making a difference. And on the other side, of the right side, the right is the strong side, you Chas v'Shalom can't be arrogant. Something happens and you daven and you get your tefillahs answered. Right? You can't after that be like, I'm amazing. Look what I did. Me. I davened. My davening is so awesome that I made this happen. Right? Chas v'Shalom. A Yid has to always know that even though I davened and I saw results coming from my davening, it means that it was a chesed from Hashem. 100% a chesed from Hashem. In that sense, you can't be too confident. You can't be overconfident. A Yid has to be in the middle. You have to be humble. Humble confidence is the way a Yid needs to be in every aspect of life, but particularly in tefillah. Okay, everybody with me up to there? Okay, so we said also this aspect of tefillah and this weapon of the sword and this aspect of mishpat had to come from Yaakov. Okay, like this. Yosef had to receive the Bechorah specifically from Yaakov. I gave to you. Why does he have to all of a sudden say, I gave to you? Why does it have to specify I? It had to come from Yaakov. So we had these two sides of this pasuk that we say in Pesukei Zimra. On the one hand, it was a Chayk L'Yisrael, and we connect Chayk L'Yisrael, the lashon of Chayk to Tikkun HaBris, B'chinas Bris, Chayk B'She'eroi. She'eroi is a lashon of a relation between two people. So Chayk is connected to Chayk L'Yisrael, Chayk B'She'eroi. Chayk really refers to Bris connecting to Yaakov. Yaakov had Shmiras HaBris, first of all. Secondly, the last half of that pasuk says, "O mishpat le'elokei Yaakov," that Yaakov also had mishpat. Yosef could only receive this weapon from Yaakov, who was a master of mishpat. As we're saying, you must have mishpat to be able to wield this sword. In order so that he could order his words properly with mishpat, he could set them out the way they're supposed to be with this idea of mishpat, balancing the left and the right and aiming it in the proper way. And he said, and it's through this mishpat that you will give to the Melech HaMashiach. The Mashiach will receive this idea from from the fact that Yaakov and Yosef had mishpat, and from the tefillah of mishpat, that's how that will be the weaponry of Mashiach. Okay, so let's stop there. Now let's go back, and we're gonna see some Kabbalistic stuff over here. So if you look in the Likutei Moharan, you'll see that there's a little boxed section. You see that there? Off to the side. What is this Torah here? Can I see? Yeah. So, right over here, where it says V'yosef sheshamar esabris natal esabechera, right to the left of that, there's a little box with a star there. V'alkein Yosef b'shvil shezachar lebechinas tefillah. See that? Okay, so I want to pass out these sheets over here. In order to understand this, we have to understand a few Kabbalistic concepts. So, let's do this one first. And I'm sorry that it's totally in Hebrew, but it has to be. It's just the way it is. Okay, pass those out. So I'll put this page up, these pages up onto the video as we talk about it. Okay, so the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? If you look up here, the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, right there. So let's step back and talk a little bit about the world of Kabbalah and how we can see some amazing deep aspects of existence through Kabbalah. So first of all, Kabbalah really is all speaking about emanations, the way that the Ribono Shel Olam creates existence constantly through creation emanating from Him in His infinite existence down to us through a whole hishtalshelush, a whole series of existences getting less pure and godlike and more physical as they come down. It's like a whole set of like step-down transformers, going from pure, infinite, non-physical, unattainable existence, all the way down to the lowest, dirt on the floor in our world, right? And of all those universes between us and Hashem, it's brought down that the whole entire known physical universe, like all the galaxies and everything, exists in what's called the Malchus of Asiya, the lowest world of the lowest world of the lowest world, right? Just the very, very, very bottom tip is the whole entire known physical universe. And the rest is all ruchnius, is all spiritual existence, with no space, no time, no nothing. All completely spiritual. So this is the way that all of Kabbalah is. It's emanations from Hashem down to us. And these emanations are categorized by, just as we know that the whole universe was created in Lashon HaKodesh, Aleph Beis, right? So too, the emanations are all built in the names of Hashem. The names of Hashem that we experience are really Hashem's existence emanating down to us through these names. Okay? Now, if this is over anybody's head, it's okay. It's also over my head. But we're doing our best to try and grab a hold of this stuff, to understand, a little bit of it, because it really can show us something very special. Okay, so you have the Shem Hashem, the name of Hashem that everybody knows is Yud, Hey, and Vav, and Hey, right? Yud, Kei, Vav, Kei. So that's sort of the main name of Hashem, and the all of the emanations sort of come from there. And we generally say that the four universes of Atzilus, Bariya, Yetzira, and Asiya are corresponding to the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey. Generally, that's the klal. That's the big picture Yud Kei Vav Kei. But there's a Yud Kei Vav Kei in every single sub-existence of every single universe as well. Meaning what? Just like there's these four worlds, if you would take one of those worlds, let's say you take the world of Atzilus, which is a very, very high existence. So that world will be made up of 10 spheres, 10 emanations, which will be sub-categorized into 4 or 5 other emanations that are directly connected to the Shem Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei. And the tip of the Yud is the fifth, or the first. Right? And everywhere we look at a different emanation of Hashem coming down from absolute infinity down to us, there's always a way that we can transcribe the Yud Ke Vav Ke onto that emanation. Okay, is everybody with me? A little bit at least? Yeah? Okay, so now, the way that we see these names of Hashem in different levels, in different existences, is through what's called miluyim. So let's say you have this world of Atzilus, or this world of Adam Kadmon, way up high, beyond our ability to understand it at all. I have to say a little bit of a warning, a little bit of a caveat. It's very important that a klal, when starting to talk about anything in the Kabbalistic realm, we always have to say and make sure that everybody realizes that we're not talking about anything physical whatsoever. It happens to be that we relate to it and we understand it through physical imagery. But we have to know, and we must always put first and foremost in our minds, that what we're talking about is not physical at all, has no shape, no form that we can understand. It's only things that are in spirituality, in ruchnius, whatever that even means. And we have to see it this way. We have to think of it this way. So that's the first step. The second step is that, it says in Bereshis that Hashem, when He created Adam, it says that He created him B'Tselem Elokim, in the form of God. So there's different ways to understand this idea, but what it really means on a deeper level is that all of these emanations and all of existence is created in this tselem, this form. And we are created in this form. So just as we have a physical body, and we have a head and two arms and a torso and a lower torso and legs and a makom bris, so too, every aspect of creation has these existences. And these existences are these 10 sirus, these 10 emanations, and as I'm sure you've seen the different charts where they're laid out sort of in the form of a body. Right? You with me? So the Tzelem Elokim means that on every level, these spheres exist, these subcategories of different ways of looking at it with Hashem exist, and also the form, theoretically, of a person exists. So, for example, when we start to speak about the uppermost universe in Kabbalah of Adam Kadmon, so we talk about this whole existence in the form of a person. There's no person. There's no physicality, there's no space, there's no time, there's no nothing. But we understand it, we are given to understand it. The Ribbono Shel Olam teaches it to us in a way that we relate to. In that, we say that there's a head section, and then there's an arm section, then there's two other sections, and it all follows the body of a person. And those general four sections are referred to by the names. Okay, you ready? You got to hear this. You got to remember these four. Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban. Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban. Okay, you with me? All right. So that means also, by the way, that in every existence, there's a nose with two nostrils as well. And there's ears, and there's a mouth. But once again, it's just a mushal. It's just an example for us to understand that there's some type of spiritual force up there. There's no real nose, there's no, right? Chas v'shalom, we should never put an image of an actual person up to there. That's really what the prohibition against making any kind of image of an idol really is referring to. Okay.
It's not up.
What?
It's not up. It's wherever you
Certainly when we get up there, it's not up. All right. Okay, so, let's go a little weiter. All right. So these four sections, Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban, what are they referring to? Where do we get those names from? If you look at your sheet and you look at the miluyim, the way we fill out the name of Hashem, gives us these numbers, gives us these names of Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban. So if you take the name, the name of Hashem, Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey. Now if you want to spell that out, if you want to spell out the letter Yud, how do you spell Yud? I'm saying, not just writing a Yud, how do you spell Yud? So if you look at the first one there, you got Yud, Vav, Daled. Right? How do you spell a Hey? There happens to be 4 different ways you could spell a Hey, or 3 different ways you could spell a Hey. But the first way at the top there is with a Hey and a Yud. And then Vav, you can spell with a Vav, Yud, Vav, or you can spell with a Vav, Aleph, Vav. But the first one, the top milui there, Vav, Yud, Vav, and then Hey, Yud. If you take that milui, that filling out of the name of Hashem with those particular letters, it is the gematria of 72, which is what we call Ab. Ayin Beis, Ab. And so too, if you go down one step, you'll see it's the same miluyim, almost exactly, except that instead of a yud in the letter Vav, there's an Aleph. You see that? So it knocks it down nine points to 63, which is Sag. And so too, if you go down to the next one, you'll see it's actually out of order, but it's Ma and 45, and then Ban, which is 52. So Ab is, Ayin is 70, and Beis is 2. Samech is 60, and Gimel is 3. So these are the way that we get these names of Ab, Sag, Man, Ban, which are the sort of these main categories of the Shem Hashem up in those Kabbalistic existences. Okay? And they will denote different levels. That's one way in Kabbalah that we see different existences and different emanations of HaKadosh Baruch Hu as they come down. That's one way that we relate to them. Ab, Sag, Man, Ben. Right? 72, 63, 45, 52. Everybody with me? Do we all understand what we don't understand? That's the way it's supposed to be. Okay, we're going to move on now to another name of Hashem. And the same idea is going to take place over here. Okay, have you heard about the name of Hashem, which is referred to as Ekyeh? It's the name of Hashem, which is Aleph, Hey, Yud, and Hey. Okay? So this is, who knows where we see this name in the Chumash? Yeah, right? So it says, tell me your name, and he says, Ekyeh Asher Ekyeh, right? So the Shem Ekyeh is another name of Hashem, which has fabulous connotations, and it also denotes different existences and different emanations of Hashem. And we also fill it out in different ways. There's different miluyim to be able to understand what these different levels are and to be able to distinguish between them. So if you take this Shem Ekyeh and you fill it out, there's 3 different formulas that we come up with, using the Aleph, Hey, Yud, and Hey, filled out in a different way. So we get, I'm not going to go through the whole thing this time, but we get this name called Kisa, Kana, and Kamag. 161, 151, and 143 for a total of 455. Okay? These are 3 other emanations coming from the Ribbono Shel Olam in Kabbalah. And they're called this because of the way that the letters come together to form them. And this is the gematria, the number of those letters coming together to form these filling out of the name. Everybody with me on that? Yeah? Any questions? No? Okay. So, now, let's take this, and we're going to read this part inside in Likutei Moharan, and then we'll reference this chart to help us to understand it. If you don't mind to pass me one of those also, I gave them all away. So, okay, it says like this. Ve'al kein Yosef bishvil shezacha lebechinas tefila she bechinas tefila si echtam. Since Yosef merited to this inyan of tefillah, he got the tefillah from Yaakov, right? That was the pishnayim, that was the bechorah that he received, this tefillah, which is, as we expressed before, is connected to the chaitam, to the nose, echtam. You remember that? Tefillah is the bechina of the nose. Bechinas chius hanimshach minukva de pardaska. If you remember, at the very beginning of the Torah, we brought this pasuk from the Zohar, the Safra Disnusa of the Zohar. Remember that? Pasuk said, Issa b'Sifra Disnusa, Perek Beis, minukva de pardaska, from the nostrils of the nose, mashach rucha de chayil mashicha, is drawn forth the spirit of the life of Mashiach. From the nose of from the nostrils of the nose, nukva de pardaska. This is from the hidden book of the Zohar, the Safra Disnusa, Perek Beis. So over here, we're explaining Yosef got this power of tefillah, which is connected to nose, right? To hilasi echtam lach, chaitem, nose, right? Bechinas chius hanimshach min nukva de pardaska, which is connected to this chius, this life force that comes from the nukva de pardaska, that is drawn down from the nostrils of the nose of this holy existence of, happens to be Arach Anpin. Very, very, very high, lofty existence. Do you remember that we said that just like there's a tzelem Elokim that we have, and just like every part of our body is part of that tzelem, is part of that form, So too, on every existence, wherever you have this tzelem, you have all the 613 sinews and gidim and bones and everything of a person. Just like we have a face and a nose and nostrils, so too up there in Arich Anpin, in this high existence, there's a nose and nostrils. And through those nostrils is where this ruach, this spirit of the life of Mashiach comes from. Way up there. And that's the bechina of the nose. That's the nose that we're talking about. What does nose mean to us? Nose means tefillah. It means this connection and the life force of Mashiach. Alkein nikra ben Peiras Yosef. Therefore, when Yaakov is benching Yosef, how does he bench him? What does he call him? He calls him ben Peiras Yosef. Now, the direct translation of that means Yosef is a charming son. A charming son. Okay? So stop there for a second. Now let's look over on the chart and look on the column that says Hebrew. So Nukva, the first section is Nukva de Pardaska. That means, and there's English in the middle column. Nukva de Pardaska means the holes of the nose, right? The nose. Pardaska, that word is gematria 686 on the other side. Now, in Kabbalah, there's this concept of these Tafresh Pei Vav Oiris, which is 686 illuminations, 686 lights. Where do these 686 lights come from? How do they relate together? The illuminations, the emanations that come from this place up there, that come from this upper existence, this upper pardaska, this upper nose, and that fuel the life of Mashiach, and that fuel this type of tefillah, those lights that come down from there are these specific shemus of Hashem. Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban. Kisah, Kana, and Kamag. These 7 names of Hashem. And all of those 7 names of Hashem, their gematrios together are 686. That's the Tafresh Pei Vav Oiris that come out from those nostrils of Mashiach. From those nostrils of this upper existence up there that fuel the life of Mashiach. Okay, good evening everybody. It's late at night. In shiur number 2 in Torah Beis, Torah 2 in Likutei Moharan, in the middle of the shiur, we had to take a break because one of the charts that we made had some mistakes in the numbers, in the additions. So it's taken me a while to get the time to redo it and to make a video to add to the shiur. So here it is. So it goes like this. If you look at this chart, I'll put it up on the video as well. Look at this chart. So we understand like this, that the number 686 is really the central number that brings all of these aspects in Kabbalah and in the Chumash and in the Torah that we're understanding together. So Yaakov blessed Yosef with Peiras, which is called a charming son, a graceful, charming son. Peiras is the gematria of 686, and it's referring to, on a deeper level, these 686 lights, 686 illuminations that come from this upper existence of Arich Anpin, of the nostrils, that channel down the life force of Mashiach that Yosef was able to wield. 686 illuminations. So not only is Peiras the number 686, but the word Pardaska, which refers to that nose where it comes from, is also the gematria 686. If you take the word Pardaska and you count it up, you'll see that the numbers equal 685, plus the kailal, that means the word itself, equals 686. The source is 686, the illuminations are 686. And then what are those illuminations? Those illuminations are these 7 different miluyim, extrapolations of the names of Hashem that we explained. So Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban, Ksa, Kana, and Kamag. The Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban are 232, and the Ksa, Kana, and Kamag are 455. Together makes what? 686. 7. So if you take that word Puras, which is what Yosef was blessed with, Ben Puras Yosef, which is the gematrios 686, and you take that word and you add the koil of that word also, 686 plus 1 is 687, you get the exact gematria of all of these emanations of Hashem that are coming down at that particular point. So centering around the word Puras, which is sort of in the middle, the gematria 686, the word Puras, and the word Pardaska, before that, where it comes from, the nose, is 685 plus 1 for the koilel, makes 686. Then you take that word Puras and add 1 for the koilel, and you get 687, which is the number of all of these emanations of Hashem's name. So you start, the higher up we are, every time we make a step down, we add for the koilel, and they're the exact same numbers. So at the bottom of the chart it says, the supernal nose, the light emanations that are drawn down from it, which are the spirit of the life of Mashiach, which are comprised of these 7 extrapolations of the names of Hashem, and the word Puras that Yosef was blessed with, all connect directly to the number 686. And Rabbeinu is showing us a little bit behind the curtain how in the world of Kabbalah and in the world of the Chumash and in the way that we're understanding the relationship of Yosef and Yaakov, they are all connected on the deepest level. Okay, so what is he saying over here? Therefore, Al Kain, Nikra Yosef, Yosef is called Ben Puras Yosef. What's the word Puras? The word Puras is Taf Reish Pei Vav. The Torah is telling you, what is Yosef's power? Where does Yosef get his strength from? From Puras, from Taf Reish Pei Vav. This 686, these illuminations that come from this place, way up there in Arach Anpin, that fuel the life of Mashiach, when we're saying that Yosef merited to wield this sword, and that he got from Yaakov, the deeper meaning of this is he is able to draw down these lights from that Nukvat de Pardaska, from that upper existence, from those 686 illuminations. That is what he's able to draw. So his nickname, the bracha that Yaakov gave him, is Puras, is Taf Reish Pei Vav, is 686. Yaakov gave him the Ruach de Mashiach. That's what Yaakov gave him. He's the charming son. The Puras is number 686. So all of this stuff comes together to show us a much, much, much deeper understanding over here, right? That when the Torah says Ben Puras Yosef, and Rabbeinu is teaching us over here, that he starts off the Torah with this pasuk from the Safra Desniusa, that talks about the Nukva to Pardaska, and that from that place is where the Ruach of Mashiach comes from, right? There's so much underneath these two ideas. Ben Puras Yosef doesn't just mean Yosef is a nice kid, right? Every single word in the Torah is depth upon depth, is layer upon layer. Puras is referring to this tremendous energy that could be harnessed by only a few people who merit to be able to harness it. Taf Reish Pei Beis Or, 686 illuminations. This is a huge thing in Kabbalah. This is what he was able to wield, he was able to draw down, because Yaakov gave him Puras, you understand? And when Rabbeinu started the Torah and said, quoted a pasuk from Safra Desniusa that talked about the Ruach of Mashiach coming from this place, if we never would have read this, we would have been like, okay, that's interesting. That's where the Ruach of Mashiach comes from. But you see the depth behind what Rabbeinu is saying over here. When he's talking about the Ruach of Mashiach coming from this place way up there, Reb Nosson is just he's just pulling back the curtain a little bit to show us what's really going on behind there. So I hope you find that to be as mind-blowing as I do. But it's always one of the main reasons people often ask me, why do you learn Pnimius Torah? Why do you learn this deeper stuff? Isn't it enough just to learn, halacha and do it? Why do you care what's going on and how these things go? So it always, there's many different answers and many reasons, but one of the biggest answers is it's tremendously inspiring to see like peer a little bit behind the curtain and get one level deeper and see how much is going on and how everything is interconnected, right? It mamash blows my mind. So this is what Yaakov gave to Yosef. He didn't just give him a cute nickname. He didn't just give him a bracha, and he didn't just get a sword, and it's not just even that simple. There's tremendous depth behind everything. So at the same time, by the way, I thought we would all find it interesting. Do you remember what Yaakov gave Yosef in the first Torah that we learned? So the famous thing that Yaakov had from his chachma, and the whole first Torah was about chen, right? Which we translated, one of the translations was charm, right? And we said, we brought a pasuk that showed that Yaakov specifically blessed Yosef with chen. What does Rashi say on this pasuk of Ben Paras Yosef? Rashi says, Ben chen. Yosef is a son of chen. He got chen from Yaakov also. It's all interrelated, and it's all coming together to show us a deeper picture. We can also see that this is a continuation, in a certain sense, from the first Torah. The first Torah talked about the Bechorah being chachma, right? And that was what Yosef received from Yaakov. We're now speaking about another aspect of what it is that Yaakov gave to Yosef. And when you see all of the different things that come together, it paints a beautiful big picture about what Yaakov really got from Yosef. Okay, everybody with me on that? Yeah? Okay. So let's go weiter now into the Torah. We're at Ois Daled. Okay, so before we begin Ois Daled, did we talk about this idea? What does mishpat mean? Mishpat means justice. Mishpat means balancing the scales. You know, the Western imagery of Lady Justice balancing the scales actually makes good sense in our understanding of mishpat. Mishpat means balancing the scales, like this. If you have a case in Choshen Mishpat, a monetary dispute between Jews, and two people come to a Beis Din, and they say, one guy says, this guy did this work for me, and he did a terrible job. I think he should give me all the money back that I paid him, $1,000. The other guy says, what are you talking about? I did all the work. I shouldn't have to pay him back. Okay, it's not the best it could be, but I did the work. You know, he paid me for it. I actually worked. And they have this argument, and they go back and forth. So what's the ideal outcome in a case like this, in Choshen Mishpat? What's the ideal outcome according to our Jewish law system? The ideal outcome is that there should be a pashara. There should be a mediation. There should be a compromise, right? That they'll maybe say, okay, you know what, tell you what. He didn't do the greatest job, so let's knock off, I don't know, $250. And, you know, you really should have done better, so you got to give him $250 back. And they come off so that he's taking away from him and taking away money from the person over here and giving money to the person over here, and the scales are getting balanced, right? Taking away from one person and giving to another person. Lahavdil, like robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. Lahavdil. Okay, so he says like this. We said that we need to have this attribute of mishpat in order to daven properly. In order to connect to Hashem with tefillah, we have to have mishpat. Not to go to the right, not to go to the left, but rather in the middle. How do we get that? Al yadei tzedakah. We do this through the inyan of tzedakah, through giving tzedakah. Shal yadei tzedakah oichazin b'midas mishpat. Because it's through tzedakah that we make use of this midah of mishpat. How so? Kamoisha Gasov. So, as is the derech of Rabbi Nachman, first he's going to bring us psukim to show us how tzedakah and mishpat are connected, and then he'll give us another way to understand it. Pasuk says in Devarim, Tzidkas Hashem asa u mishpatav. The pasuk brings together the concept of tzidkas Hashem, tzedek, tzedakah, and mishpat together. Ukamesh Kasav, and another pasuk in Tehillim, mishpat u tzedakah beYaakov. And two words together, mishpat u tzedakah beYaakov. Those two things go together, mishpat and tzedakah. Ki tzedakah hu ayadei mishpat, because the way that we give tzedakah is through this concept of mishpat. How do we see such a thing? K'moishe kasov, Elokim shofet ze yashpil veze yarim. The pasuk says in Tehillim, Hashem is the judge. Hashem judges. Or you could read it as the judge's judge. Ze yashpil veze yarim. This one he lowers down, and this one he raises up. As we said, how does the ideal case go? You make a compromise. This guy goes down a little bit, this guy goes up a little bit. There's a compromise, and we bring shalom, we bring peace. He takes money away from this one and makes this one poorer and this one richer. When you give tzedakah, when all of us here, when we give tzedakah, what are we doing? We are doing this bechin of zeh yashpil. We're making ourselves poorer. We're taking money away from ourselves. We're losing our money by giving tzedakah. And we're raising the ani up. We're raising the poor person up by giving him money. We're making him rich. Right? This is what we do when we give tzedakah. We're really balancing the scales. We're taking money away from ourselves and giving money to an ani. We're balancing the scales. We're taking my money down and his money up. So I remember years and years ago, I heard a good pshat. How do you understand how we give tzedakah and why we have to give tzedakah and just a way to understand it better. So the pshat is that really Hashem gives us a certain amount of money, right? Whatever money He gives us, He says, tell you what, I'm going to give you money and you're going to be able to provide for your family. It's going to be gewaldic. And you'll have a car, and you'll have this, and you'll have that. Whatever, if you're on the giving side of the tzedakah, you'll have what you need. But there's only one tanai. 10% of that money actually is not yours. 10% of that money belongs to someone else. And I'm giving it to you to be my distributor. You need to redistribute this money to the people who need it. And I'm even going to send them to you. They're going to come to you and ask for it. And you need to give that to them. So you can't possibly keep that money. That 10% that we're supposed to give in tzedakah, or up to 20%, that doesn't belong to us. We have to give it out. We have to give it. So when we have this money and an ani comes to our door, a poor person comes to us, we have to understand that it's meant to be this way, that my bank account is supposed to go down a little bit, and his bank account is supposed to go up a little bit. And through this, we're making the bechin of mishpat. We're bringing a compromise, if you want to say, between the two levels of wealth, and we're doing what Hashem wants us to do. We're creating justice. Tzedakah is called justice. Why is it called justice? Because this is how it's supposed to be. That's really the right thing. You shouldn't think that you have the money and it's meant for you and I hate that I have to give it away, right? And it's so annoying when they come to my door all the time. Chas v'shalom, we shouldn't think that. We should think that this is the way it's supposed to be. This is the right way to do it. This is justice. That person is supposed to have this money. I am just a custodian of that money, right? So when I'm doing this zeh yashpil zeh salashin, semorish zeh mashil zeh, right? I'm actually just doing what's right. I'm giving the money to the place it's supposed to be. That's called mishpat. That's called tzedakah. That's called justice, right? So the only way that we can bring this midah into ourselves of mishpat and use it in our tefillah and daven in the right way is when we are margil ourselves into this midah of mishpat. When we habituate ourselves into this midah of mishpat. How do we do it? So I was thinking about this. Why is it this way in particular? Because we're going to say that it's a halach in Shulchan Aruch. That you have to be mafresh tzedakah every day before you daven. Before you daven, you got to separate tzedakah. The halacha says in Shulchan Aruch, right? It tells us that we have to do this before we daven, right? Why? Do we ever wonder why? It's a mitzvah. Okay, why not visit the sick before you daven? I don't know. Why not take challah before you daven, right? Why this mitzvah? Why b'davka? You have to give tzedakah before you daven. So this is explaining to us the reason why, because we have to even out the way we look at the world. We have to even out the way that we look at our relationship to Hashem. So when we daven, we're davening from the right place. And why is it money? Why is it tzedakah? I was thinking about this today. This is like my own understanding of it, but everyone feels this. When you give tzedakah, someone comes to your door, right? And you have money, and you have to give the tzedakah to this person, right? It hurts a little bit. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It's a good mitzvah, and you should do it with a leiv shalom, with simcha and happiness, and you should do it in a nice way. And Baruch Hashem, that's what we do, right? Right? But still, this is money that you need. Everybody needs money. Everybody feels the pinch of finances, right? So you have to, every single day, you have to do something that really is part of you, it's difficult for everybody. Everybody giving away your money is not pashut, right? So you give away your money, and everybody feels this, and it makes an impression in every single person. When every single day they say, I have to give tzedakah. There's no two ways about it. There's mishpat in the world. There's tzedakah in the world. Hashem made it this way, and this is the right thing to do. I know that Hashem wants me to take of what is mine and give it to someone else. He wants me to make that sacrifice, and He wants me to feel it. I have to do it. It's personal to everybody. And on everybody, it has an effect. Right? And it just depends on what level you're at. You know, if you're the type of person who sits in shul, in shul, they come around a lot. And people who are in need, Meshulachim from Eretz Yisrael, poor people from everywhere, they come around during Shacharis and they collect. They have a te'udah and they collect. So it's an easy time to give. Keep some money in your pocket, keep some money in your talis bag, whatever, and they come around and you can give. And it's very simple, right? But sometimes there's more and more. Sometimes there's 20, 30 people who come. Sometimes we get 10, 20, 30 people knocking on our door on a Sunday looking for tzedakah. Right? And we always give it with a smile and with kind words in a good way. But every person has a point where it starts to get difficult. And it starts to get, I ran out of checks. I don't have any more money in the house. How much more can I give? It starts to hurt a little bit, right? Every single person has this connection to money in some way, and at some level is going to feel it. So this, I think, is why Rabbeinu is telling us over here. This is my own idea, but it's personal to everybody, and it evens everybody off and gives us this b'chin of mishpat. Make sense?
Can I suggest something else?
Yeah, sure.
Before tefillah specifically, what
Yeah.
are we doing? We're asking for Hashem to bestow. That's the whole point of tefillah being that He should bestow on us His blessing.
Right.
And so we are showing Hashem that we are part of the mechanism of His blessing in the world, which then makes us an appropriate intermediary in the brachot that are coming down.
Right. In other words, the system works.
Specifically before davening, because
Right.
that's what we're asking for. So we're part
Right.
of that
Very good.
process.
Very, very good. Very good. Okay. Nimtza she'oiches al yedei nimtza she'oiches al yedei zeh midas mishpat. Through tzedakah, we're able to grab a hold of this midah, this attribute of mishpat. U'b'shel zeh tzarich lahafrish tzedakah koydem at tefillah. This is why we must be mafresh, separate tzedakah before tefillah. Kedei sheyuchal lechalkel devar v'mishpat, in order so that we can order our words properly with mishpat, with the proper world view, with the proper perspective of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and my relationship to Him. She'koilei al asayra v'lo yachti, that it should be, my tefillah should be aimed in the right way. V'zeh she'amru chachamim zichron levracha, and this is what Chazal said. Lama nasan Yaakov as a bechorah leYosef. Why did Yaakov give the bechorah to Yosef? B'shvil shekilkel Yosef, because he sustained him, he provided for him. Why did Yaakov give the bechorah to Yosef? Because Yosef literally provided food for him. When there was no food in the world, Yosef gave food to Yaakov. He provided for him. Says Viter in the Gemara, mashal lebal abayis shegidel yosem b'seich beisai. A mashal to a balabayas, a person who has a house, and he raises up an orphan in his house. So what happens? The orphan grows up, and the balabayas loses all his money, and so then the orphan is very happy to take care of the person who took care of him. Right? Makes perfect sense, right? So how does this relate to Yaakov and Yosef? So what happened? So why did Yaakov give the bracha of the bechorah to Yosef? Why did he give the bechorah to Yosef? Because when he came down to Mitzrayim, he saw that Yosef was the one who took care of him, who gave him what he needed, who was mefarnes him, who gave tzedakah to him, really, right? So then when Yaakov came into some money, if you want to say it this way, what happened? Reuven messed around with his bed, and now the bechorah was free. The bechorah now was, if we could say, kaviyachol, was in Yaakov's pocket now. So who did he give it to? He gave it to Yosef, who did tzedakah to him. He gave it to Yosef, who had this midah, just like this mashal. But not only that, but even deeper into the mashal. is that he saw that Yosef was this person who had the midah of mishpat. And Yosef knew to give and to take from here and give to here. He knew how to use the midah of mishpat, so he gave him the bechorah, which is tefillah. That Yosef sustained his father and his brothers, lechem lefi hataf. So that means bread according to hataf, meaning on the one hand it means children, the amount of people that they had. Kamoy, but in another sense, what else does it mean? There's another pasuk in Yecheskel that says hatef el hadarim. What does that mean? Hatef is a lashon of dibur, a lashon of speech, a lashon of, I saw one translation, preach to the south. Preach to the south.
Teapot. Teapot meaning drops.
Right. Drops of dibur. Yeah. Lashon dibur, hatef el hadarim. So over here it's referring to dibur. Lefi hataf, meaning what? Hainu shahaya shagura tefilasoi bepiv al yedei tzedakah. Because Yosef was about tzedakah, he mamish had this midah of mishpat, and therefore his tefillah flowed off his tongue. He was the person who had hatef al hadarim. He could speak. He had the words flowing. His tefillah was beautiful. So therefore, Yaakov gave him this bechorah, which is this bechin of tefillah, of the two-sided sword. It's only because of the tzedakah that he did. Nasan leYaakov shu bechinas mishpat es bechorah. Yaakov, who is mishpat leYaakov, right? He gave him the bechorah. Shehu bechinas tefillah, k'mo shekasav ani nasati lecha Shechem. Ani daika shu bechinas mishpat. Yaakov gave him. Yaakov, we said, is a person of mishpat. And he gave him, Yaakov, the person of mishpat, gave him the bechorah. What is the bechorah? It's the tefillah. Why did he get the tefillah? Why did he merit it? Because he had this bechin of tzedakah. He was able to give tzedakah to the point where the whole system was balanced. He was able to daven in the right way. He didn't, in other words, Yaakov wouldn't want to give the gift of tefillah to someone who would ruin it, who wouldn't be able to use it properly. Yosef was the person who was the Baal Tzedakah for the whole world. He was mefarnes everybody. He gave. He took from here and gave to there. He literally took grain from the people, put it in his storehouses, and then gave it out. He was mefarnes everybody. He gave food to everybody. And because he had this, that's why Yaakov gave him the tefillah. Why? Because since he had mishpat, he's able to use it properly. That was the tanai. That's the condition that you need in order to be able to wield the weapon of tefillah. You must be in this realm of mishpat, of balance. Not to the right, not to the left. Not to think that my tefillahs do nothing, and I'm worthless, and I keep davening, and nothing's changing, therefore why should I bother? Nope, that's too far to the left. And not, I should see one of my tefillahs get answered, and now I think I'm Mashiach. Right? And I'm amazing, and my tefillahs are amazing. Right? No, not that either. You have to be not to the left, not to the right, but in the middle. And how do we get ourselves into that space? Through tzedakah. When we give tzedakah, and we give it in the right way, we balance ourselves. We balance our worldview. We balance our view of Hashem. We balance our view of the whole system. And then we're able to daven. Then we're able to speak to Hashem from a perspective, from a healthy perspective. So, this is a perfect place to stop because we're going to move on now to the next section. But as a recap, just what did we do today? We had a little review. Then we took a look into some Kabbalah and we tried to see a little bit behind the curtain and see some of the depth and where there's a whole multi-layers underneath the simple words that we're reading. Sometimes we read them and we think, well, it's not simple, but we think that we get it, right? But we can keep going deeper and deeper. And this is just showing us, this Kabbalah that we learned today, which was a little complicated, is really like beginner Kabbalah, total beginner Kabbalah. It's the tip of the iceberg of everything that's out there. So we should all merit to understand the inyan of mishpat and tzedakah and tefillah. We should all merit to understand that there's an infinite level of learning that we can do. We should always be trying to go deeper, trying to understand more, and Bezras Hashem, we'll come together next week and finish this Torah. Thank you.